Well, hello guys. Today is Intro to Logarithms Part 1. And what we're going to start out with here is what is a logarithm? And we're going to keep it super simple in here. We're just going to say a log is an exponent. Okay, I tell my students it's a tool we use to get to an exponent. I don't know if that'll help you or not, but like the main goal of the chapter is to be able to solve this. Looks super easy, but like 2 to the first, nope. 2 to the second, nope. Must be between 2 to the first and 2 to the second, etc. Right? So we're going to use logarithms to eventually solve that. Remember, I'm going to probably go a little fast, so you can always pause it, go back, rewatch, rewind, do whatever you need to do to get the good grade. So definition of a logarithm with base b. So this is what a logarithm looks like if and only if this is true. So we're going to go back and forth between these two. So I called this log form, and I call this exponential form. Okay, and we're going to go back and forth between those ones right there. Okay, so I'm going to show you the circle down here, but basically it's like a little circle. B to the x equals y. I'll do it again. B to the x equals y. Look, that's what it says over here. B to the x equals y. It's a little circle. And if you need to read this, this is log base b of y equals x. Log base b of y equals x. And it says all that there too. So it says change between log and exponential form. So what I do is my little circle. 3 to the second equals 9. 3 to the second equals 9. That's exponential form. Log form, exponential form. Okay, let's do it again here. 8 to the 0 equals 1. 8 to the 0 equals 1. Just go in a little circle there. This is log form, this is exponential form. Here, don't be frightened by that fraction. Don't be frightened. So 5 to the negative 2 equals 1 over 25. 5 to the negative 2 equals 1 over 25. And then let's do it over here. So 10 to the negative 1 equals 0.1. 10 to the negative 1 equals 0.1. So it's just like a little circle I do each and every time. And then we can unravel it too. So here, it's an exponential form and you write it in log form. So what I tell my students to do first is write down the word log and write down an equal sign. And then you're still going to do your circle. Read this. 5 to the first equals 5. 5 to the first equals 5. I literally use my circle for it. 5 to the first equals 5. So again, write down the word log, write down your equals, and read it. 1/2 to the negative 2 equals 4. 1/2 to the negative 2 equals 4. And I also want to point out how this is all lined up. Like if this was a piece of, back in the day when you're in elementary school paper, notice that my 5 is underneath. Notice that's all on the same line and this 1/2 is underneath. Like that's how yours needs to look too, alright? So just make sure everything is lined up nice and appropriately. So again, write down log, write down equals, 19 to the 0 equals 1. 19 to the 0 equals 1. So just using that circle back and forth. 3 to the second equals 9. So write down log, write down equals. 3 to the second equals 9. Alright, so that's how you go back and forth between log form and exponential form. And the reason we have to know that is because we start having to solve. Now look at this here. I don't know what log base 2 of x is, but I know I want to get x alone. The first mistake people make is you cannot divide by log base 2. Instead, this is in log form right now, and you cannot solve it. So change it to exponential form. 2 to the third equals x. Now you can finish it up. If you do 2 to the third in your calculator, it's 8. Alright? So it's in log form. We can't do it in that form. We change it to exponential form. Same here. It's in log form. I can't solve it, so I change it to exponential. 3 to the fourth equals x. So 3 to the fourth equals x. And then you do that in the calculator, you get 81 equals x. Over here, they're trying to be tricky. Just remember that the base down here is a 10. So if there's nothing here when it says log, it is a 10. If there's nothing here when it says log, there is a 10 there. So 10 to the second equals x. 10 to the second equals x. So then we can work it out. 100 equals x. So if it's in log form and you can't solve it, put it in exponential form. If it's in exponential form and you can't solve it, put it in log form. Okay? Down here, solve for x. Remember the base and the power must be positive. So in other words, you may have to check your answer. All right, what do I mean about the base and the power must be positive? So let's take a moment really quick. So we have log base a of x equals y. This guy must be positive, and this guy must be positive, always and forever. Those will always be positive. That's what they're saying. So if we go back over here, this is in log form. We can't solve it. I don't know how to do it, so I'm going to change it to exponential. So x to the fourth equals 16. Okay, do you remember how to do these? These are the type, I'm just going to clear my calculator real quick. These are the type where you have to take the fourth root. And remember, when you take an even root, you have to remember your plus or minus. Now here's where this comes in. This number can never be negative right here. So you don't have to actually worry about this plus or minus for this problem because this number can never be negative. And then, oh, I'm sorry, I had to put that there. So then these cancel out right there. And then I'm going to do fourth root 16 in the calculator. So remember, you hit 4, math. I'm going to pick option 5 and then 16. And it's 2. So x equals 2, a positive 2. All right, so just make sure you never have a negative here or a negative here. All right, so let's go to this one. So I can't work this out, so I have to work it out this way. X to the first equals 4. A lot of people miss this problem because it's so easy. X to the first power is just x, right? So straight up, x equals 4. You are done. And then this is positive, so you're all good. Here, x to the second equals 1 over 64. X to the second equals 1 over 64. How do you undo a square? You have to square root it. So when you square root both sides, remember, I don't want a plus or minus because I want a positive number here. So if you write plus or minus, just cross it out, okay? So then this is x equals, the square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of 64 is 8. Just like that. All right, that concludes today's notes. I hope that you had an amazing time, just an amazing time. And I will see you, or your teacher will see you, in class. Goodbye.